Now on exhibition for Chickens TV, George Shaw joins us from his studio in Devon.
Good afternoon, Jared.
We should be just talking anyway, just to say hi and that. But I've turned it into a thing. So I apologise.
I've kind of realised that without probably going to private views and stuff, I just don't see anybody.
And so how are you with that? Where are you? Just to set the scene for everyone.
I'm in my well, it's for all intents and purposes, it looks like a shed, but I call it my studio. But yeah, it's a place where I work. Yeah, studio. So I'm just in here where I spend probably 10 or 12 hours a day.
And has that changed significantly since lockdown, or were you always sort of spending your time there?
My daily life hasn't changed one shred of different. I just get less emails, less distractions. Um, I'm one of them irritating characters who are quite like this. I don't know how. I miss pubs. Yeah, and that's about it really.
But when you do go, like, you're not like a hermit in real life, though, are you? Like, you do enjoy yourself in London and stuff, don't you?
I think sometimes it's a bit. People find it a bit weird that I live such a solitary life because when they see me out, I'm quite sociable. But I've had me fill. In those 12 hours I've been drinking, my liver, kidneys, stomach has had its fill. I come back. Yeah, I couldn't live that sort of life generally.
Do you have sort of quite a healthy life at home then?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't drink on a Monday. Um, which is, I'm writing a book about this new diet, not drinking on Mondays. Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty active. Yeah, I go. Yeah, I do quite. I suppose with this lockdown, I do garden more. Catherine, I carry more stuff for Catherine. So she makes a mess during the day gardening, and then I spend 2 hours in the evening putting it on a massive compost heap.
Yeah, we have a similar. It's a similar relationship here. Like Rebecca's created a kind of sort of Babylonian garden out there with just like thousands of different types of flowers, and it's all just like become this major thing. And I get scared of it, and I'm happy to weed and but even I'm not even that happy to weed because I'm worried about picking the wrong stuff. And But I'm really happy to take things to the compost heap and like um, yeah, put stuff away and water and those sort of manual jobs. Um,
I think my job in the garden is like my job domestically. If I actually, if I use my initiative is a shortcut to pissing someone off. So I basically, to as I'm told, I'm not very reconstruct. We don't have a very reconstructed relationship. It's like my mums and dads.
yeah, and I do a lot of cooking, and I've sort of had the lot. I'm opposite of you because I've not. I think I've put on loads of weight over lockdown, and make loads of food and drink lots, even on a Monday, and but that in a way it's since doing the exhibition, so I hadn't had that kind of discipline of doing something creative with my life until lockdown, and something sort of clicked in me, and I thought I'll do this. I'll have a project, even though I wasn't like making stuff, but I was just dealing with it was a project, and it kept me really busy for ages. And I stopped running, so I used to go for runs and stuff, but I didn't have time anymore. But I filled my day with setting up the exhibition and then uh, doing little videos for it and stuff like that. And it became a sort of I sort of realised how important doing that sort of thing was, and I wondered whether you felt the same about painting, where it was like a quite a therapeutic thing.
Oh God, no, No, I mean I spend my entire life trying to avoid anything which has any form of therapeutic benefit. I find therapy just makes people go to sleep, like having a massage. It's just world would be just full of sleeping people.
But I don't mean it didn't make me feel like um, anesthetized or like blissed out or anything like that. It's more that it just it sort of had the opposite effect. Like it made me less prone to being grumpy and annoyed about stuff. I don't know. Maybe if you're in a routine that even if you're enjoying it, like maybe it doesn't always have that effect.
Well, I think I mean, I've realised this has happened with people I know who've retired or they have very long holidays. The 2 weeks into retirement, you find they've gone and doing a voluntary job somewhere. You know, like, or people I know who've 6 weeks holiday and they're doing a school workshop. I don't think we're very good at learning to do things with our time, because I think we realise that in the privileged modern daily routine, actually, the things of life that we think we take up time in life, we have machines and people to do that for us. If you got up and you had to grind your own corn, you would probably find no time to put on exhibitions or paint pictures. And I think that's the great, if people talk about nature cure or they go and live in the nature, they're playing. I don't find the hard work of making life sustainable is actually unendurable for most people, I would have thought. Because it crushes out. Well, it doesn't crush it out because it wouldn't be there. If you have to keep warm, you have to make something to keep warm. You wouldn't be writing a poem about it.
Okay, but you paint pictures of, of like an everyday life, even if it's in the form of a house or a street or a garage or something. That's poetry, isn't it? About something that's sort of necessary.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't count myself as doing anything useful. I'm fairly privileged. I'm fairly privileged. I'm privileged to have gone to university. I'm privileged to have a job I like doing. I'm privileged to make enough money from it that I don't have to think about grafting properly. It's a great privilege, and the people probably who buy my paintings are fairly privileged as well.
Yeah, say that again.
So it's you're kind of feeding something which you'd like to say that you don't feed, but you do. Feeding it myself. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not changing. I'm not a revolutionary. I'm in some senses I'm probably the first to go when the revolution happens. Fat cats like me are probably the first to go. Useless fops. it's obvious. Do you know what I mean? It comes the zombie apocalypse, which we've all kind of felt that we've had a little bit. Would I be right at the pick of the crop for somebody? If you had a team of people and you could pick the people who are going to be most useful to this commune. I'm going to be the same person, going to be the same line of being picked as I was when I was at school.
Yeah, but don't you have any doesn't your like painting skills give you any kind of edge on if you've got some practical skills, you can help with the construction of shacks and things like that, maybe?
I suppose I've got a little bit of that, yeah, but good, the farmers who live down the road, just push me out of the way. Can you mend this boiler? Can you fix this generator? No. Can you drive this tractor? No. I am fairly foppish. I've come to the conclusion I am useless, and it's only when I'm in with a group of sort of traditional men that you realise I don't really know. All right, mate. It's like when a tradesman come. All right, mate. Want a cup of tea? I might as well just be out in a tutu, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I certainly think we moved here thinking that we were going to really skill up and become like the opposite of what you said, like really useful, very able to deal with our own mess, literally in certain situations, and you just realise quite soon that if it's not in your blood, it's not in your blood.
No, I mean, because I don't have a lot. I don't have a lifetime. It's the thin line between Marie Antoinette dressing up as a shepherd. That's what, it feels. I mean, I just can't do anything really practically. I just wouldn't have a clue. And I think not in a real sense. I mean, growing vegetables takes ages. You put all this effort in, and then you come out one morning and they've all been eaten by something. I mean, I spent half an hour this morning picking beetles off my roses. I mean, what the hell am I doing? Just because I don't want to use. Yeah, but I mean, I suppose I've realised. I mean, painting takes a long time. I mean, that's why, it's an old man's game, really. And you should have learned these lessons. But I think, if anything, you just learn the lesson that you're a product. I'm a product of my life and Western culture. Not any different from it, but it can look like that because you're playing at moving a compost heap or something like that. And we like to kid ourselves that we're doing our bit a bit, I think. But for all the little bit of composting I do, this great big tanker goes past my house and it just stinks of oil for about a week. You think, really, yeah, great, thanks, mate. So, yeah, I'm quite cynical. But I'm the first person I'm cynical about is myself. And
yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're being a little bit hard on yourself.
I suppose in the commune I could be the fool. I could jump around with a bladder on a stick and draw funny pictures. So you do have your use, or you'd create something like a devil or a god, so that then you would be the shaman. So I would do what I would normally do, which is peddle myth.
Right. And so you spend most of your days like cooking up this myth in your studio.
Yeah, forging up these. I suppose it's an extension of building the compost heap. it's yeah. I mean, I've always kind of felt like that it has a kind of art has an excremental metaphor. It's less existential than it is excremental. So,
could you tell me about the painting that you did for the exhibition that's behind you?
Oh well, I suppose that comes that follows on a little bit because I mean, one of the things when you sent me your email about the chicken exhibition for chickens, I mean, my assumption was that you'd gone completely crackers, which is great. Because I think that's probably more important than pretending to be a farmer for us, or doing something, being kind of honest, which is sort of doing something for the love of it, which is the definition of an amateur. I think that's what amateur means, isn't it? Love, amour, something like that. So I always think that when people are called amateurs as an insult, it's really a great kind of badge of honour. You're doing it for the love of it, and then professional. When someone says, "Oh, that's professional," that's a very professional. It just means you've got paid for it. So your proposal about this thing just made me think of all these crackpot, outsider, eccentric things, which I think make amateurism really, really nice, really attractive, because they don't have any reason other than for existing, other than doing it for the sake of doing it. Whereas I think sometimes in the art world, a lot of it's done for spondoolies or prestige or ego. And I'm always impressed by someone who's sort of built, you find after they've died, they've built a massive sculpture of their wife out of matchboxes. And nobody's seen it. I find that really heartening. Much more encouraging than an Anthony Gormley.
I mean, I had sort of gone mad, and I'd also sort of thought I was thinking about first time we met in Gateshead, you said about feeling embarrassed and how that was sort of okay and being alive. And I was thinking a bit about that because part of the thing about doing this exhibition was about feeling embarrassed or not feeling bad to feel embarrassed and doing something that was I hadn't had time to talk myself out of it. Just thought, I'll do it. And I think that was the mad bit. And then it turned out to be one of the sort of, I mean, it shows how what a low bar it is, but one of the best things I've done was to put on.
Yeah, but but within that, you see, just that idea, because it doesn't have any other value other than the doing of it. If you had to go out and work to pay the mortgage and do all that, you wouldn't do it because you have to go and do something useful. You have to go and do something that provides for your family or something that way. The fact that you can't do that forces you into madness, which can be. I know I'm not trying to put mental illness up on a pedestal because I'm sure people who suffer. I know people who do suffer from it. It's not nothing. Metaphors shouldn't be drawn from it, really. But there is something about that madness which is freeing, really. It frees you from the ties which we've got formed a habit in our, getting up and doing that, and then in actual fact, I think one of the positive, if there's a positive of this lockdown hiatus thing, it's teaching people that there might be value in something else.
If it's madness as a way of saying that something is different or not the norm, then it's completely positive, isn't it?
Well, if you look at it from the point of view of what you're doing something you want to do, so it's sane. Doing something you don't want to do every day is a form of madness. That's really, where it all lies. And that's what would attract me to doing something like that. Because there has been a couple of lockdown projects going around, and oh, Jesus, I know they're all meant well, but you kind of, it's just it's turning the lockdown into another thing of what lockdown wasn't. How can we turn it back into a normal sort of thing? Whereas doing something as insane as an exhibition for some chickens strikes me as being the most sanest thing, because I'm sure if you hang an exhibition up for a group of chickens to look at in a garden, is that any more daft than hanging an exhibition for a group of wankers in Shoreditch to look at? And I'm sure it was treated with as much attention and as indifference as an ordinary exhibition would do. So I've sat in exhibitions of my own work and watched people just come in and go out as though there's nothing there. They might as well have just been pecking unseen things on the floor and left. And the only thing they've done is gone and visited the cafe and had a shit. It's kind of, you think, what have I done it all for? So, and the only way, one of the things I enjoyed about you asking to do it, and subsequently afterwards seeing your tour, was how serious it was, that you weren't treating it stupidly. It was like, this is what we're doing. And it was
there was a sort of unofficial ban on chicken puns.
There was a ban.
Yeah, like unofficial ban. I'm sure a few escaped, but I wasn't making chicken puns like that. I didn't want it to be that kind of event.
I sent you a text yesterday. Are we preparing or are we winging it? And I didn't mean that to be a pun. And it was only when I sent it, I went, ah.
But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I didn't really, I don't know if I expected it to be quite that serious, but it was, people took it really seriously, which was brilliant. And I think that's also, like, it's obviously funny. Like, it is a funny idea to do it, but it wasn't a joke. It wasn't, if I was going to actually spend time doing it, and I had to get Rebecca to help me loads and the kids, which meant we weren't doing our normal routine of doing the school every day. And, so there was quite a lot of work went into it, and I had nerves at the last minute and stuff. So it was serious, that, and I thought also that people had really put in a lot of time. Some people had, painted things specially, and some people had really thought about the context that it would be shown in, and I didn't want to let anyone down by sort of, but it would have been a sign of being embarrassed or being, being defensive by joking about it.
It covers up and reveals an honesty. Like irony is usually a way of people being honest without exposing vulnerability. It's these things. They always end up being really serious. That's what I quite like about, and things which are intended to be really serious usually end up being hysterically funny. Anthony Gormley again. That's that kind of, there's that, that po-faced seriousness that is really important is instantly not important or serious to me. Like the kind of, the type of art that we should be reverentially looking at. In actual fact, I'm much more reverential to the kind of art which is under our feet and made by the people who are socially under our feet in a way.
Yeah, we were so sort of heartened by getting your emails with the two pictures, and just sort of, because we'd also been looking at a blackbird's nest. We couldn't get in to see it. It was just too high, but we were watching fledgling blackbirds, and also with having chickens being broody and thinking a lot about eggs. And so, getting your painting of the nest was really wonderful, and thinking about where we put it, and pinning it to the tree.
I mean, I'd started making these little watercolours of the garden. That's where it came from. That's what I've been kind of doing since, I don't know, before Easter. So doing little watercolour, which is an odd thing to do because I normally work from photographs. So to work from life is kind of weird. Although them pictures were made from photographs. Well, in fact, they weren't made from photographs. They were made, but I don't have a printer, so I took a photograph on my phone, and then I painted from my phone.
Right. Did you have to keep getting it back on?
There's a little feature which you can get to leave it on. So that's. But I did the, because I made the hedge as well. That was the other thing. It's not a hedge. It's a compost heap. But I've turned it into. Yeah, well, that's what I've made. Instead of making the compost heap like a big heap, because we have a lot of stuff we do. We garden 7 acres. We garden, virtually. Although we don't that makes it sound more. About 3 acres. So there's lots. If you chop down something, there's lots of it. So instead of burning it, I turn it into a compost heap that's about 200 foot long, but about 2 foot wide, as a barrier between us and the road. So, and then it's staked on both sides so it doesn't fall either way like that. And then it builds it up. And then gradually what's happening is all the bird life and hedgehogs and all that stuff live in it. And then they produce soil, they poo and die and stuff like that. And then things start growing out of it. So I've got ash trees and stuff growing out of it. So it's kind of dead hedge, but coming into a living hedge. So and in front of it, I had a big pile of logs, which I took away and was sawing up. And then I realised in front of it, a blackbird had made a nest in the hedge, but it was shielded from the logs, so it was really exposed. And I was really nervous and a bit sad because I'd kind of exposed it. And then I looked in the nest and there were these 3 eggs. So I took a photo of the eggs and I thought, I'll do a painting. But I couldn't sit there because I didn't want to disturb the blackbird. But I knew I wanted to do the painting at the time when the blackbird was there, rather than take a photograph of it and paint it in a couple of years' time. And then I went back to take another photo of, and there was another egg in it. So you've got one with 3 eggs. Then I did another painting, and there's 4 eggs. And then I did go back a week later, and there was a tiny bird going like. So I ran off because I didn't want to disturb it. And then I went back about a day later, and they were all dead and gone. Yeah. So the nest became like a grave for the blackbird. So I've got 3 paintings behind me, and that's the sequence. They go from this optimistic 3 eggs to a really optimistic 4 eggs, and then just like a dead baby bird. So I didn't send you the dead baby bird because I thought it would be slightly pessimistic for the chickens to see this, but quite realistic given the dead chickens. But maybe that could be a postscript chicken exhibition.
I mean, I guess we confront, artists often confront other humans with scenes of suffering and mortality, don't they? So we could. I think they could probably take it. The chickens, they're pretty tough.
They take a life in a battery farm, and then they come back. Their feathers grow back, and they lay eggs again, proper eggs. And the painting, which is an old painting of the sunset, I thought that's the end of the. That was like the little cycle of the dead bird and then the sunset. Because that's a painting that I wanted to make, that sunset painting, and it goes to galleries all the time and comes back. It's just nobody ever wants it. They all going to go, oh, great painting. And I always think that's my sort of it's a bit cosmic. It's like a massive cosmic sunset egg.
You think people don't think it fits into your oeuvre so much?
Does oeuvre kind of sounds like egg, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I think you get stereotyped as an artist, and then you kind of, it's a bit like becoming a comedian. Everyone wants you to do that funny walk again. And so there's lots of things I do which don't get exposure. So doing things like the exhibition that you put on, and there have been other exhibitions like that I've got involved in. It's quite nice to show things which you put your heart and soul into, but they have no place in. I suppose the word I'm looking for is the art world, because it's a very bigoted world for lots of obvious bigotry. that's but also in terms of you get pigeonholed and people assume that you're that type of person.
Yeah, definitely. And what about with why did you decide to make it a watercolor even if you weren't painting it outside?
Well, watercolours is something I always do, but they very rarely get shown. I've had a couple of people, sensible curators, actually tell me that they're rubbish to my face, and haven't included them in exhibitions, which makes me only more it's like it's some form of encouragement. And I really like the idea that watercolour is the amateur's medium, when in actual fact it's the most difficult material to manipulate. It's actually really hard work painting watercolour.
You choose, so with that and with enamel paint, you've got 2 really difficult things to use.
Yeah, it's almost, but they're appropriate. The enamel paints are appropriate for the thing that I paint, which started off as a sort of memory journey, I suppose, to the better word, a nostalgic journey, sentimental journey, and then the watercolours I do tend to have their roots in a sort of pastoral idyll of me envisaging myself as a amateur watercolour artist sitting there painting the English landscape. And I think I've always had that image of my middle age as being like this crazed crackpot Bonnard-like character, painted my wife naked in the garden. But I had that kind of image when I was about 13. So yeah, and
They still have watercolor challenge on TV.
Yeah, but I don't watch art on the telly.
I haven't watched any of the Grace and Perry stuff. You seen that?
I don't watch. Yeah, I wouldn't watch. It just doesn't even enter into my head.
What have you been watching? Have you been watching much TV in lockdown to get you through any boredom?
I'm not bored. I'd love to be bored. Honestly, I'd love to be bored. I wanted to be bored when I was little. There's too much on my mind. Um, I sit down and so I sit back up again. It's like I've sat onto hot poker because there's something else needs doing. um, but and I would never watch. I've been around people's houses and the telly's permanently on, and people just graze the telly. I've never done that. I put something on, watch it, and turn it off. Um, uh, I've I've quite enjoyed watching Coronation Street
Really?
because because I used to think that soap operas were supposed to deal with real issues, and the virus doesn't exist. I just want to see how long it can go on. It's that's quite funny.
Well, they haven't mentioned it. They don't mention the virus yet.
I think that's just really funny. And what else do I watch? Um, I'm watching a box set of a thing called Devs at the moment.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, but I've no idea what it's about. I just sort of watch it, and then I say to Catherine, "What was that about?" She went, "I don't know. Should we watch another one?" And then I watch another one, and I go, "I don't know what it's about." We watch a lot of Scandinavian stuff, and I'm watching Gangs of London. Yeah, but I tend to watch a lot of things like that. The first one's usually really good, and then we wait until it gets crap.
Mm. Yeah, I sort of find that uh, nothing seems worth the investment.
No,
It's always going to end up sort of fizzling out, and then you think, well, why did I waste all this time? By the time we've got the kids to bed and we've sort of made dinner and we finish and Rebecca's finished in the garden, it's normally 9 o'clock, and then you have to eat, and we thought I would watch With Nell and I again, and we've only got through about half of it, and now we can't work out what time to put it on so we don't fall asleep or like. So even getting through a film is difficult. I honestly I don't know how we're going to deal with when I start getting work and we're having to do normal stuff again. I mean, actually, I'm talking to myself because Rebecca's still writing and she's doing lots of work, but it's like to me, it's like this is perfect the way things are now.
well, I mean, it reminds me of the old story my dad used to tell of a bloke who was shipwrecked on an island, and after about 3 years, he's got a little plot of land and he's fenced it off for the animals, and he's got pets, and and he's cooking and stuff like that. And a bloke comes up to rescue him and says, "We can make a TV series about you and do all this and do all that." And he went, "Why?" He went, "So you can make loads of money." And he goes, "And what would I do with the money?" He goes, "You could retire." He goes, tells him to fuck off. He already has. It's already. It's. I think we realise. I mean, I'm lucky in the fact that my life pretty much exists how I always wanted my life. So I work, I do my paintings, I come to my studio and potter around. And that's what I do. And I listen to audiobooks probably more than I watch the telly. So they're on it. Yeah, they're on in the background, bits of music, documentaries off the radio and stuff. So
Do you just sort of work on whatever you fancy at the time, or do you have a sort of plan? You work by series, or you do sort of you need to have things delivered, or what? How does it work?
I've got an exhibition that I've postponed from I was going to do with Anthony. So um, that kind of that's given me more time not to do that. So the deadline gets extended further. But that was kind of going to happen even before all the coronavirus stuff because it got postponed because I couldn't work while Mum was poorly last year. So so there was that, and then just knowing my luck, I got an offer of an exhibition in Taiwan, but that seems to be still going ahead. So, but there still needs to be paintings for that. So, and then sometimes I can be working on a painting and think that's what I want to do, and then I just lose the interest in it. So I just put it to one side, turn it back, and then I start on something where there's a bit more energy in it. I've got so many paintings on the go, so there's like 20 paintings on the go at the moment. So I sort of poke around at them.
And is it entirely solitary, or do you ever, like, if you have an idea for something, do you talk it over with Catherine or Anthony, or like?
No, no, no. I think I'm. If I talk to someone about something, it's dead. It dies in the. I can hear it dying as the words leave my mouth. Because it will never be better than how I described it. It's yeah, I feel it's better just to keep quiet. Plus the fact is that most of the ideas that you start a picture with or an exhibition with die anyway and get replaced by better ideas that you've had in the making of it. So it's not conceptual in the sense that you have the idea and then you do the picture. It's more a question if you have it at the same time, but it needs the yeast needs a starter, and the starters can be good ideas or bad ideas. It's what you end up with, and that's the most interesting thing. I mean, the painting that I'm working on there was going to have a blue sky for some reason. For some reason, it's got a red sky today, but it will have a different sky. We'll have a different sky tomorrow.
Oh right, wow. Do you mind us swinging round and having a little look at what else you've got
in there? Painting of flags.
Oh yeah. Are they what sort of flag? I can't really make out the flags.
It's a St George's Cross. But it's kind of falling apart in the wind. It's a sort of metaphor. And then this half-finished painting of a cock on a tree, and a watercolour of a dead nuthatch.
Well, that is a thing that you do find more. I know people talking about seeing more wildlife at the moment, but you do see a lot of dead wildlife as well, don't you?
Well, again, it goes back to that. You're asking me to say something about nature or anything. The text. I don't have a romantic view about nature. The idea that nature is a cure or nature is there for us. I find it totally, utterly infuriating that the natural world is there to heal me. The natural world isn't there to heal you at all. You will always perform more harm on it than it will, and it will eventually kill you anyway. I mean, I hear it because I listen to Radio 4 by accident every now and again, and I hear people waffling on about going to nature to heal themselves and going to nature. It's even the ecological aspects of the ecological movement and the green movement are so egocentric. I find it unfathomable that they think that it's separated off from the rest of the consumer culture that movement thinks it's separate from. It's full of the language of human interference, really, and I've never thought of the natural world as being there for my use or abuse. It just is there. I think that's probably why I'm drawn to things, that interaction between one world and another, or where the woods, where people abandon bits of a life which isn't considered to be natural, like sticking a porn mag in there. When in actual fact the two become fairly, this sex act depicted, or naked, or something obscene, or something embarrassing is put in the woods. Perfect place for it. It's kind of and is and is and is the same kind of thinking that brings a tree into a house. You know, which you do once a year at Christmas. No one thinks is weird. But if you did it, in June, you came around and someone had a dead tree in the house, you go, what's that for? Well, it's all right at Christmas. Why is it not in June? But people have dead flowers in their houses all year round and don't think it's odd.
What do you mean? I was thinking about. I mean, have you been? Well, I was not been anywhere recently, but I was trying to think about like maybe what was happening in Tile Hill and the woods around there, and whether anyone was using them illicitly during lockdown, or if they were becoming just completely lush, overtaken with wildlife. And have you got any idea?
Well, I think that the biggest vandals I saw in the woodland I knew as a kid were always the people who went in there to do ecological work. They were always chopping stuff down and digging holes, which but the abandoned motorbike that happened there once a year or once every couple of months was seen as being horrendous. But it was people building fences and stuff in the woods, which was very odd, very, very odd. And some, you could say the same down here, really. We've got, every now and again, we know that people have been camping up the top of our bit. You can see their little fires and stuff like that. But what does it matter? It matters in this dry weather that they're having a fire. It's a bit daft, but people have been doing that sort of thing by accident and on purpose. Most of my time I've looked at the news. But I don't. There's no fences around here. That's quite nice. So you can wander onto people's land and you can wander all over the place. And there's no fences. We don't have any fences on our property either. We're not going to put any up. And that's the one thing that I noticed in Tile Hill was over the years when I didn't live there, the increase in the amount of fences, which sounds like something from the 18th century, the Enclosures Act, or poems by John Clare, where he couldn't go wandering, and kind of he writes about it as almost contributing to his mental decline, because of that kind of incarceration of the wanderer, really. It also takes people's income away as well. So those, I find that the free roaming side of things is quite nice. But on the other hand, we live here on a day-to-day, a normal day, we don't have anybody go past our house. Since lockdown, we've got half fucking Devon come past our house on a daily basis. On bikes, you're in the countryside. There was that many bikes going down a hill one time. It was almost like a traffic jam, and everyone comes to enjoy the countryside. Yeah. So, and I imagine that's felt by a lot of people who do live in the countryside. Is kind of go, well, what have you come over here for? What was? So and then we got lots of cars. Yeah, we got lots of cars, lots of walkers, joggers. You just think, what were you doing before? But it's there. It's I don't own it. It's not. It's just we're trying to self-isolate, and we've got more people going past our house than normal.
So when so just to sort of finish, like what's happening next? Then are you got an eye on like when your exhibition is going to happen and you can sort of start moving around again?
I've got no interest in moving around. Absolutely no. I've always found holidays to be deeply irritating. It's just a recipe, just like waiting for a TV series to go bad. It's like, at what point in this week are we going to have an argument?
Fancy going on a plane wearing a mask the whole time?
I've never, yeah, no, I never liked going on a plane anyway. I hated planes. I hate airports. No, I don't mind being in the air. That's all right. I just hate all the corralling. I've always disliked take your shoes off, no, leave your shoes on. I'm like, I, I hate that. It's got to the point when that sort of hatred, and it got to catching trains. I had to book a ticket on a train because you couldn't get a seat. So when the spontaneity just went, and then you'd book a ticket, and then I'd get stressed because I knew someone was going to be sitting in my seat. And then you go, do I ask them to move? And then, oh, it's an old bloke. Oh, dear. I won't ask him to move. So I'll go and sit in another seat. And then someone asks me to move because I'm in their seat. And I think, oh, it's only 2 hours. Can't you all just fucking stand up? Why aren't there enough seats for people? So, so it just all got, it used to get on my nerves. And then I get to London and go, do I get the tube? So the last time I did a major travel, I think I had a breakdown. It was just, I can only travel when I'm with Catherine now, it seems. I mean, they did a thing on the radio a couple of weeks ago where they said, oh, we're making plans for lockdown to finish. I went, oh no! So I started to have to get really stressed. Because I went, I better get this work done before. And I thought, well, that's really very odd. It was a very odd thing that overtook me in a way.
So artists have a sort of permission, don't they, to be difficult and to insist on doing things their way, right? Like you could sort of get away with refusing to go somewhere, or
yeah, probably add a couple of pounds to a painting if you're a cunt. Yeah. I mean, I'm reading a biography of Lucian Freud at the moment. I mean, he was born a cunt. He's just an absolute shit, and unlikable. He's an unlikable arsehole.
I don't mean you have to do that though, but you sort of have license to be a bit, not a shit, but you can sort of put your foot down, I suppose, and have things a bit more on your terms, can't you?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm quite lucky. Most things are on my terms anyway. I know what you mean. Most things are on my terms anyway. But I don't like private views. I like seeing people. I don't like the time that goes up to private view. But I know they're a big social engagement. But when I'm in the middle of it, I do quite enjoy it.
Yeah, but I like that in your private views, it's often full of just your friends.
Yeah. Well, that's.
There's sort of just a room for the strangers.
No, and at one point I would seem to be having them all the time, and it was like like every Friday. It was like a poet's day every Friday. We're here again, which was I got quite good at organising them in the end, working things out. But it's a. I think we are quite lucky, but I have been struck by the fact that over the last couple of years that what I do for the love I did turn into a job of some kind. And there is an aspect of me that I did treat it like a job. I come to work and then I finish at a certain time. It's very rarely do I kind of pop to Kath or just Catherine said dinner will be ready at 8. Around about 8, and then only if I was an artist, I would come at 11:30, wouldn't I? I had some important painting to do. The muse was on me. I turned the muse off at 5 o'clock, and hopefully turn it back on again at well, I'm usually back here by about 6.
So if it's not if you don't treat it like a job now so much, like what is it then? What is it that keeps you in that room?
Well, there seems to be loads of gaps in the future that need filling up with certain things that I haven't quite done. I don't know what they are yet, but I can see these gaps, like cavities and stuff. I need to be filling these empty hooks on the wall. I can see this emptiness stretching out in front of me, which is quite nice. That sounds bleak, an emptiness, but it seems like it has to. As long as I'm walking into that emptiness, I feel like I want to look back and see it full. I'd hate to look back on it on that corridor I walked down and just see it's empty and I haven't done anything. And there seems to be enough energy in me to be able to put into those images, really. Which seems odd because sometimes one of my paintings can look pretty much like another, but and occasionally you do find yourself painting a sausage, a sausage factory kind of, or a hot cake or something like that, which isn't very good. But lately I've kind of done quite a lot of things which are quite nice to be able to. I do a little watercolour for an hour, and I do a drawing between 6 and 8. Then I have breakfast, and then I do a painting between 8:45 and 10:15. And then I come and set my painting up, and then I have coffee around about 11 or half 11, or about half 11, and then I paint for the rest of the day on one couple of pictures.
Oh, it sounds great.
And ticking beetles off my roses.
Are you going to make cider again this year?
Oh yeah. No, this year I'm gonna treat it like a job. This is an amateur's. This has got to be done properly. So I've got to make sure all my gear's ready at the right time. Make sure I've replaced all the stuff which I broke last year, or it was inadequate. You've got to work out which week you're going to do it. Take the week off work. Nothing can interfere with it, and it's all got to be done in one go. They've been picked, washed, chopped, squashed, fermented, and do it properly. But I've realised that the books that I've been following, I've kind of aren't detailed enough. So I think I need to get a more detailed plan in place.
I thought it was quite. Isn't it just you just press it and leave it? I thought you just had to leave it.
Yeah, I mean that's one way. Yeah, that's how I made my most successful cider. then I tried to make fizzy cider. Yeah, and then I wanted to make a cider which was cleaner. So, and then measuring things like the alcohol or whatever. Yeah, but yeah, if you just wanted to make a scrumpy, you just
fair enough. Yeah, I think if you want to try and take it to that next level, people aren't keen to give away those sort of secrets.
But I'm a firm believer in actually simple things are probably the best. Because the minute you start complicating something, it's usually doomed to failure. But yeah, you're just crushing an apple.